I do. I get bored with my own work. And so trying to find other ways to be creative, like work with my hands and think in a different mindset is more inspiring.
I love hearing other people geek out about things that I'm not particularly knowledgeable in or interested in, because a lot of times it just makes me pick up another hobby. Welcome to the Creative Slash Podcast, where we explore what happens when creativity collides with everything else. I'm Brad Woodard, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Dustin Lee. Whether you're an artist looking to grow your following or you're just curious about where creativity can take you, this is your weekly dose of real talk about making it as a creative human. In today's episode, we talk with designer, illustrator, and art director Marisol Ortega, whose love for plants, colors, and cultural storytelling shows up in everything that she does. We get into how she balances in-house work with brands like Starbucks and Hallmark with deeply fulfilling freelance projects, what her secret is to choosing the perfect color palette, and why she can't resist buying little teeny tiny ceramics. Marisol opens up about what it means to not be too Mexican in corporate design, how representation unlocked her voice, and the subtle rebellion of painting your entire kitchen Pepto-pink just because you like it. If you've ever felt like you've had to tone yourself down to fit in, or you struggled to embrace your weird, then this one's for you.
Way too much shit. Like, you see this in the background? It's like, it's super knick-knacky. Like,
I mean, look at this. Look at this.
Brad is very curated, and it makes everyone else very self-conscious. He set it up like it's like a set for a show. But this is how we all live. All the other
poster shows. What else I got?
I like the what do you call that?
Oh
yeah, the little fishes. Yeah, I bought them on one of my last trips to Mexico, actually, and it was really cool. So I have a lot of like tapestries too, and a bunch of other stuff over here.
Do you visit family down there?
Yeah, actually, the majority of my family still lives down there, and I have 2 kids, so I take them back pretty frequent, just so that they can learn how to speak Spanish, and because their dad is British, and I need to get the Spanish in there.
Wait, and what are their accents like?
Oh my God.
I want to hear their accents now.
I think I'm actually have something about this. Have you guys ever seen it on TikTok, the Latino, British Latinos? It is insane. That accent is super British, but then all of a sudden they switch and they sound like, like Latinos. And I'm like, it trips me out. And then when they go back and forth, because I speak Spanglish a lot, and it just blows my mind. So there was one evening where I just like went down the rabbit hole of like listening to British Latinos. It's pretty interesting.
Wow, that's wild. Well, and then you have like all like the little like replacement words for things like in British and in like not even Spanish, just Mexican. Like there's certain things are referred to as other things, or like I feel like my wife is always like mixing up cupboards and drawers and different containers. She's like, they're all the same. They're all the same. Like in the cupboard thing.
Yeah. The thing that holds the other thing. No, what's really funny now is because I love my children. Let me just preface to saying that. I love them. But, like one of them just turned 4 and the other one is like just turned 13. So like I have like 2 angry teenagers in my house, and like
oh my
goodness, the range of emotions is like super insane, like tantrum because I didn't, not the different kind of pasta she wanted, and the other one's just like, God, you're so loud, and so they're just like always bickering. But the oldest one, who's obviously a little bit more British, she has a lot of slang that she says, and so she says, why don't you just chill out, bruv? And I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
Hands up.
Oh my God. I watch so many British shows. It makes me like I start having this British accent just kind of possess me every so often, and my wife and everybody are like, why? Like, just stop. And I'm like, I'm not any good at it, but man, I mean, that's so interesting.
It's fun. It's fun to say it. I know.
I would have,
and the little one just doesn't have it.
Oh, she does. Have my wife's family. Like, I worked in a Mexican restaurant for like 3 years when I was younger, and it was like pretty traditional one, and there was just tons of Mexican cooks and stuff, and they would I would pick up words that they would say all the time, and I didn't know for sure what they said, but I thought they were probably calling me bad things, like I was a waiter and they were cooks. And then I got really comfortable with her family after a couple of years, and I would just like drop words in, like not knowing what like
That's dangerous.
I knew
It's
they
a
were
dangerous
bad,
game.
but the weight of them, like the F word for in English, feels heavy. But when you don't speak Spanish and you just know the word and you say it, it feels very light and just like throw it out there. And I'd say it and be like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing?"
Yeah. And then they'd probably be like,
That's funny.
how? Yeah. It's
And
it's
how
so
did
much
you
lighter.
know?
And then I realized
drop
just
them
how
all
much
the
those
time.
cooks hated me. Because they'd always be
That's
like,
hilarious.
saying, the different things.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought maybe they
So
were
that's
saying, crazy white dude, but they were actually saying much crazier things than that.
Well, this gets me
It
thinking
gets
now
hot.
because I always hear, obviously everybody knows how good Mexican food is. I think we can all agree that it's
Love it.
one of the
Yeah.
best foods. But
Yeah.
what about British food? So I hear very negative things about English foods. So is that not even a debate in the house? That's like
Not even
we
a
like.
date. No.
Okay. The
Okay,
kids
so
don't crave weird British
no.
meals.
No, so I'm divorced. And so when they're at their dad's, obviously dad cooks like he's also vegan and like just bland food. Not to say that vegan food it can be delicious, right? But just what he's used to, how he cooks is totally different. And then when they come over to my house, it's just like the flavors, more Mexican food, more authentic homey stuff. And it's just night and day. So I get complaints all the time. Like when they leave, the oldest is always like, well, I guess this is going to be my last supper until I have to like go over to dad's and
That
until I have
sounds
to
like
eat
a
cardboard
13-year-old.
again. Yeah.
Oh.
So there's a lot of that.
Vegan food doesn't sound. I've had some, but my personal experience has been it's never quite as good as if you can mix.
I was
a little
vegan
bit
for
of
3 years, so I could speak to that.
Animals and stuff like that. But I would just picture like if you went for an extended period to your dad's and it was British vegan food, that you dropped like 25 pounds. Yeah. And then you go back to your mom and it's like Mexican food with pork and chicken and beef and all this stuff. And then you gain the 25 pounds back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you know what's funny is that something that I had talked about too is that I have been enjoying cooking again and like learning some of like old family recipes and calling all my tias and just asking them how to make certain meals that I remember them making for me. And it happened just because I was trying to like, get in touch with my culture and things like that. But also because my oldest was really like, okay, I love Mexican food and I want it all. And so I was trying to like cook birria. I'm cooking like queso birria. I'm making caldo de res. I'm making different rices. I'm all of it. Right. And so it's like a trial and error, but she's just like eating. And then she's like, now I have to go back to eating bland pasta.
That would be so hard. That would be really, really hard. My wife's a really good cook, and not to say anything if my siblings or my parents are listening into this, not that there's a competition, but my wife's just really good at it, and she has lots of really good flavors, and she likes to replicate different flavors from around the world. So we're always like, some night we're having Indian food and some nights we're having this, which speaking of vegan food, if you're vegan, Indian food's the way to go. That was our favorite. Yeah. So good. Because the trick with vegan food is you can't be trying to replicate something. If you're not trying to replicate something, you're okay. You can there's tons of delicious foods that don't require meat or milk or whatever. And they're great. But as soon as you start saying this is a hamburger, it's not a hamburger because now you're comparing it and it's not as good.
But see, and then that was also like the debate that I always got into is just like, why are you eating the thing that you're trying, like replicating that you're trying not to eat? Like that blows my mind. And it's, the contradiction was just kind of creepy. So I was like, no, but I love Indian food. That would be hard.
So good.
Indian food is really, Indian food is good. I feel like Mexican food is very broadly just all delicious. And Indian feels like it segments a little more. Like there's some that's amazing. Maybe it's just that I'm biased because I've had a lot of Mexican food. I think the most shocking thing was how different it is in homes and how different it is based on where people are from. So like my wife's family is from, I don't know the exact town, but like Michoacan. And
me too.
They do all these specific things there. I just remember having like corn tortillas I always thought corn tortillas were like rubber. They tasted like eating rubber to me. They were all chewy. And then like they made fresh ones like that were all freshly done. And they're actually a lot like flour, but better almost.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just amazing when it's like a home.
Yeah. Well, so my mom's partner is from Oaxaca. So the way he makes homemade tortillas is totally different with like different mixtamal, like, right? It's a different corn, maize. So they're like either blue or they mix them and it's more grainy rather than like a smooth. Like my mom
Oh,
always
yeah.
made them with like maize, but mixed in some of the flour. And so they tasted more like a little bit flour tortillas.
That's my jams.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
My mouth is getting watery, you guys.
I know we keep getting caught up on food on these podcasts. Like every so often we do, and it drives you bananas. Like
we did it too early too.
Ago, Mike starts talking about barbecue, and then it's way too far into it.
Oh yeah,
I love barbecue food. That's a different one.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I have to tell you real. Oh, go ahead. You go first.
No.
Okay. I'll keep it moving along. It'll probably come back to food. I'm guaranteeing it's coming back to food. But
yeah.
I was going to just tell you the way I found your work was I was at the Great Wolf Lodge with my kids. We were in Centralia, Washington, that location. And we were at the Starbucks and I saw the mural on the wall and I was like, wow, that's one, it was really pretty, but I was also like, it felt very familiar. And the more I looked at your work, Dustin was saying this, he's like, you guys feel like you have a similar vibe in your work. And I was like, yeah, I think that's why I was gravitating towards it so much. And I looked you up and then I reached out and I was like, oh, it was a cool find to see it out in the wild. And your work's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. I remember that. That was like, I don't know. I love doing murals around there. And obviously when I was doing them for Starbucks when I worked there, that was awesome to kind of get to explore different styles. And they were totally cool with it. This is my favorite job, I think, ever.
How long did you work for Starbucks?
For, I think like 2.5 years I worked in the studio. And that's the majority. So like, I feel like a lot of people think that I'm just a freelancer, obviously, because that's what I post online and stuff like that. But I also hold a daytime job. So like I work in-house in a lot of places. So I worked at Hallmark. I worked at Starbucks, Dio Chocolate, Sur La Table, Amazon. You know what I mean? So like
those are huge companies too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I get to flex both, right? Like be kind of serious and like honed in design work with little to no illustration, but then my freelance stuff, I can kind of have more fun with it. So when I worked at Starbucks, it was like you could play, like because I worked in the gift card department. So I was just, going crazy with all the different designs.
Department.
I know.
Starbucks like literally is so big that they have a gift card part of their design department.
So does Target. So does Target.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Actually where
they're big, but that's crazy.
I know. And that's actually where I met the first person ever who was like Mexican in the field. And it was Victor Melendez. And so we worked together.
Victor.
I love Vic. Yeah. So that's where I met him working there. And then we just like, he did all the coffee bags. We did some in-store promotion stuff. And then I was on the gift card team and then both worked on stuff for Starbucks Reserve. So it was just like, I don't know. I think we were 80 and they called us the unicorns because it was just like we were all mix and matching and getting to work on really fun stuff. Yeah,
that's amazing.
He's my longest friend.
I know. I saw you guys were just together in like you guys are both being interviewed for what was that? You guys were on a stage and they were like, what was that?
It was for it was called the festival is called Mex Art. It's part of this Mex Am like for Hispanic Heritage Month. Basically, the consulate of Mexico in Seattle works with the city and they do a lot of like really cool projects. Sometimes it's something more of like a gallery space, but this year it was like the city allotted like a whole outdoor space. So there was 10 artists who were Mexican American, and we just kind of each had our own space. And it was around the theme of belonging and migration. And I mean, it was interesting just for that reason, right? But also the very different walks of life we've all had, some of them were really into like, I'm Chicano, right? Like, don't speak Spanish, but this cross kind of cultural as well, Afro-Mexican, do you know what I mean? So there's just like that, it was so diverse and it was really, really cool. So that was a project we worked on together. And it was really cool just to like, I feel like post-COVID, everyone's been kind of, weird about like hanging out and collaborating and doing stuff like that. So it was really cool to kind of be in community and, get out of my basement.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So that's working for all these, like we're doing freelance, but then also working for these big companies. How do you get it started? So I started as a graphic designer. I run Retro Supply now, and I do, daily design work for the business, but mostly I'm just managing things and whatnot. But I remember when I was starting, I got out of school, which granted, I had gotten a business degree, so I went back to school and then I went to like community college for design. But lots of people start that way and it works fine. So I know that's not it. But when I started, I feel like I was doing 99 design contests. I was doing Craigslist things for like $50 logos, just like these hellish product projects like that were just abusive things, right? And I worked at for like a divorce attorneys. That was my first in-house design job. And I kept trying to figure out like how do you break into something like Starbucks or Target.
Yeah.
They're very in-demand jobs. They're the ones that a designer wants to drop, like as where they work. Do you know the barrier I'm talking about? And what do you think are some tips that we could give to people to help them?
I know what you're talking about. And I kind of struggled with this a little bit just because obviously when I graduated, I was working like front desk at a hotel and also like doing all these like production jobs. And then I got like, I feel like I kind of lucked out, got a job working for Bumbershoot. And there I got kind of exposed. I know, but I was the art production business, right? So like taking, like, I think that first year I took like Sasha Barr's artwork and I was like, divvying it out.
How did you get that though? How did you get Bumbershoot?
On it, I just applied off Craigslist. Do you know what I mean?
Craigslist, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were applying to a lot of different places and like?
Oh yeah.
Like, were you hundreds in by the time you hit that one? And
oh yeah. I mean, by that point, I was already out of school and I was working at Starbucks as a barista and a front desk at a hotel. I was trying to like find something, so I was getting pretty desperate. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not below this. I'm obviously trying to learn and just trying to get my foot in the door." And I feel like the one thing. And I mean, now I'm still friends with both the people that hired me and they're like, we just loved your attitude and that you were like willing to learn. Right. And so it's not like, hey, I know how to do this job. It's like nothing. I was a team player and I've always felt that way. I'm like, nothing is below me. Let's work together. Like this is obviously a collaborative environment. So why not? And so all the places that I've worked at in-house have been sort of like that for me. Like I stay in touch with everybody. I'm a great collaborator. I try to be a nice person. I don't burn bridges. And all of that, like now later on has like come back to me tenfold because now it's like all those people have moved on to other companies. And it's like, hey, I know someone who does graphic design or I know someone who does illustration. And you know what I mean? And so like it just kind of carries with you. And like I feel like such a jerk for saying this, but I don't do any outreach to like companies. You know what I mean? Like I don't send out postcards.
You'd be shocked at how many people say this that are very successful because that's a common thing, right? Is like you need to reach out to everybody, and at least when I was getting out of college, it was like, back in like 2010 or whatever, it was like you were sending out physical things, like that was the big thing, right? Like send out some mailers to people to kind of, but I don't, it rarely is that.
I feel like
the job.
When you hire people, like just being someone that hires a lot of creative people, I feel like it's so rare that you meet someone who does good work, you like hanging out with, and they're predictable and reliable, that when you find someone like that, which you like, I feel like in my whole time, I've 15 almost years I've run this business, probably 5 of them. So when you find them, they keep getting repeat business because it's so rare that you find that combination of things all in one person.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like, that's it. That's been my roster from like freelance. And it just, people keep coming back. They keep doing other stuff or, even like something crazy, like, oh, I want to do, I don't know. I need like a vendor booth sort of, display and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, yeah. What about this? What about that? And it's very like, again, like collaborative. Like I like coming up with ideas and brainstorming. So it's like, I don't know. I really enjoy it. I really do. And it's the people aspect for me. So, but I like quit my last full-time job that I had in August because they wanted me to move down to LA. I was working as a senior brand designer for Walmart. And I was so sad because I really like the team. You know what I mean? Like when you find the perfect sort of like the creative manager and everybody, and it's like, it was just too perfect to be real, to be true. And then they were like, you have to move to LA. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't.
What a heartbreaker.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when they come into, say they finally got that job in the design department at Starbucks? What is the biggest mistake that you think someone can make that will make them not be that kind of person that might be invited back or recommended to others?
I think the ego thing, right? Because like, yeah, you could quickly be like, okay, I've made it. My stuff is everywhere. It's so cool. Like, which it is. It is amazing. But I think if you leave the ego at the door and it's more of like, this is our job, we're visual communicators and getting along with everybody, because there were a few people like that at Starbucks. And, you know, like later on when Starbucks started dipping out and like, you know, certain agencies were getting more work outside and it started kind of slimming down. Like the people that got hit up for those freelance projects were ex Starbucks employees that used to work in the studio. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
it is a lot of that. And it's because people worked with you, think you're easy to work with. And so the minute you become difficult to like work with and have an ego about, hey, can I make you a change or whatever? Like it's red flags.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying you should be a pushover, because that's totally different, right? But
yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Is I was because I don't think I wouldn't consider myself super easy to work with. I don't know, honestly. I don't feel like
Are you asking me, Dustin? Are you asking me?
I was looking down at your facial reaction because I feel like you know me so well because I work with your wife as well. But yeah, I was like, what is like the big thing that makes someone not come across as cooperative, or you know what I mean? Like, what is it? Like, what is the specific thing that makes someone feel like they have an ego or they have something going on? Because you don't want to be a pushover.
Right. Yeah. But I think it's also like being open enough to like other people's ideas and not thinking like it's your way or the highway, or like this is the idea that needs to be done. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's what maybe can come across like, oh, like you think you're the shit now or what? Like, do you know what I mean? In that sense, you know what I mean? Or like not approachable, right? Not approachable. Yeah. It's like, oh, now I can't tell you my stupid idea because I know you're going to shoot it down. So I don't know.
And you should stand up for your ideas. I think that's important. Is like the distinction is like, like not be a pushover, but I think standing up for your ideas when you need to, like when it's a hill that you want to die on there. But you know, I think like in general, just giving, like allowing yourself to just listen and be okay. Like some things just don't matter. Like, yeah, you could argue to the, you know, the cows come home on certain aspects of the design, but it doesn't matter ultimately for what you're going to be putting out. So those ones you can kind of like just be like, all right, that's whatever. It's whatever, however they want to do it. Or if it just gets done, sometimes working with other people, sometimes you just got to let them do it because you can nitpick it to death. I mean, you were an art director, right? At one point with, who were you? Was it Amazon? Was that one? Amazon. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I could see that being the situation.
Especially over like illustration or something, right? It's like, well, I can't just be like, here, let me do it, right? And
exactly.
Okay, die on this hill. Like, we need to get this out the door. Like, let's just call it good and, you know, come back to it later, I guess, if they have questions. But that's also, I found like a really hard thing to do, like being a person that illustrates, to communicate like what you would do if you were an illustrator to somebody else who's doing the work. Like, I found that really freaking hard. And so eventually
that's a great point. It's hard to tell. Like sometimes I can be like, yeah, this just doesn't work because of color or whatever. But the illustration, maybe it's not my style, but that doesn't mean just because, you know, it's all subjective. Yeah. Which actually on that, I know you are so good with color. And that's something I think that you take a lot of pride in, and you clearly experiment with it in your work. What is like I get the questions all the time because people are like, well, like, I don't understand color. Like, you know, I'm sure you hear this. Where people are like, I just don't understand color. How can I do it? Like, walk us through like how you go about choosing a color palette or something for like a new mural you're going to do for Starbucks, let's say. Yeah. Like what's going on in your head when you're choosing colors? Because I think that there's like something mystifying about the process for people. And sometimes maybe it's just you just like those colors and it's just a, I don't know, knee-jerk reaction. But is there a system that you have in place for picking colors?
Yes, there is. And there was it's something that I learned at Hallmark. So I was originally a greeting card designer, and then I eventually started working for the visual studio department. So it's the people who make all the illustrations and stuff like that, right? And there was this guy who was a watercolor artist there. He'd been there like probably 30 years or so, like working there. But he worked mostly in watercolor. And there was like one thing, you know, he's like, I love your work, you know, tell me more about it. He's like, oh, and he was the one that pinpointed it out to me. And he was like, well, it looks like you consistently use like 5 to 7 colors, but like 3 of those are your main colors. So it's usually like a really bright color. Well, it could be 2 brights, right? So it's like 2 brights and a neutral, but these 2 are complementary. And then it's like, and all the other hues are extension of these 3 colors. And so it might look like it's I mean, that's the point, right? It's that it's well balanced and it feels like there's a lot more colors when really there is only like 3 basic colors. So that's usually how I play around with it.
Yeah.
So like, let's take blue and orange, for example, right? So like, I would probably throw in a warm tone in there. So like a yellow, it's just to like help brighten it up. But then it's like the different tints of each one and then try to find, I don't know, like for the Starbucks one, for example, it's oftentimes like, I know that it's a siren. It has to be like specific brand greens or whatever, but I always like put in an unexpected color, like either a blue pink or, you know, more of an orange red. And then I try to balance that with like a gold or something that's a little bit different that helps break up the whole palette. But essentially it's just like 3 and that's it. So that's been like usually my rule of thumb when I do, because I just feel like less is more, right? Like if there's only 3 main colors and then you flush it out. I don't know. I feel like there's a good balance. So that's usually where I try to stick.
Is there like a percentage that you use in your mind? Like sometimes I've heard designers or even illustrators be like, oh, 40% of it should be a really bright saturated color and I don't know, some other part. Do you ever kind of think loosely in terms of little cheat codes in your head for that?
Sometimes, but it's more of like, I just do like little quick color thumbnail. So I'm like, okay, a little color block and try to make it like plan it out that way. But otherwise, like, I don't really just kind of like feel it out. Then that's part of the reason.
Dustin.
Like, yeah, it's like playing with the composition, the colors. I hate math too. I'm sorry.
We're artists. Don't talk math to artists. That's funny. No, I'm glad you said it though, because that feels very similar. It was maybe hard for me to articulate, but typically I'll start with a very, very small palette. And I always recommend that. I'm like, start with a small palette. Then I start saying, I usually tell people to borrow colors, like start from what you have. And then if you're going to, I was a fine artist. I was a painter beforehand, before I went to college and everything. And so you're always just pulling from like you squish out your colors, right? And then you're kind of pulling and mixing from those. It's not like the problem with on the computer is I think people get a little overwhelmed because you can just go and select every different kind of red you want. You don't necessarily, if you don't learn how to mix them, then it does feel very unbalanced. It feels really muddy or whatever. Whereas, if you're just kind of pulling from those main 3 and kind of mixing those ones, that's great advice. What a cool job. The guy was still doing watercolor at Hallmark. That's amazing.
Amazing. Some of them are doing obviously the lettering artists, right? The calligraphers. And I mean, that was crazy. I learned a lot from them too. That felt more like going back to art school because it was such a playful playground and they had this whole center where you could like go and learn how to make resin toys, like all kinds of shit. Like it was awesome. Yeah, it was super cool.
That's amazing.
Too bad
you love plants and you said that you would be a botanist if you weren't a designer. How do you think that ties in, or does it tie in at all to like your influences in like color or how you pull color? Do you take a lot of pictures and organize 100%. Them? 100%. How does it impact them?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Oh man, I'm not upstairs. I can't show you, but my like whole people have been in my house. Like it's the living room, the dining area, the kitchen. Like it looks like a freaking jungle mixed in with colors and things like that. And it started from a really young age. Like I was really attracted to it. Obviously my grandma's like garden is always like full of plants. My mother loved plants. And so it was always the greens, though, the different colors, the different veins of the leaves. And so I would like pick up on these like tiny little details and either try to replicate them or take pictures. And so now, obviously, when I'm like traveling or I see something I like that's striking, like it's always the color in nature. And so I really pull from all of that. And I have like a whole library of pictures that I take on my phone from chips or things that just like, it's mostly just like color strike and composition of plants and things like that. But I don't know. I love it. Yeah. And a lot of it, like you can, I don't know, I feel like you can tell, right? Like I love drawing flowers and plants. So a lot of it shows up in my work as well. Yeah. Only a little bit.
It's funny. I would say I gravitate towards it too, because I love drawing nature inspired things, but also my wife just has every kind of plant or similar thing. we came into this house and it already had like shelves on the windows. Like you can't even pull the blinds down. Whoever was here before us had just shelves like screwed into the windowsill. And so she just loads that full of plants. And I mean, they're like her babies. It's hard to explain to other people. You know, some people are like my parents don't fully understand how like attached we are to our dogs, right? Like our dogs are family to us, you know, like real dog people, real cat people. You just can't quite understand unless you're that type of person. Well, so with plants, that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't understand fully. Like I love them, but she treats them like we've had the same plant that's moved 4 states with us over 10 years. And I'm just like, we can just let that one go. We'll just get another one. She's like, what? Like, okay, so you're on the same boat then. They're your little plant babies.
About plants, I feel like they just bring like a quietness, I feel like.
Oh my God. We drove all the way so when we lived in Kansas to, I was working at Hallmark, drove back to Washington. The entire car was filled with my plants that I would not let go of. And my daughter was like really little at the time. And she was like, why are we doing all these plants? And I'm like, I can't let go. Even if I start propagating, I just get attached to them because you water them, you care for them, and somehow they just kind of like,
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like it feels like they belong. They're part of you, so you can't let go. I have one plant that I've had since I was in college that I will not let go.
Wow. What kind of plant is it?
It's a pothos, so it's one of those that trail on.
Those are the best propagators. You can give those to everybody. My wife does all the time. So wait, how do we keep them alive? Because that's my biggest thing. Is like, do you have a tip for anyone listening here? Who's like, okay, that's cool. They're amazing, and I love to have them in my office. I have fake ones in my office for that reason because I cannot keep them alive. What's your best tip for anyone who's listening who wants to keep their houseplants alive for the longest amount of time? Is there any trick?
I think I don't know. Do I know any tips, tricks?
Or what's the best plant
to take care of? Okay, so
one of the easier ones.
Yeah, because with those big fiddle leaf things, I've killed 5 of them before.
Those are hard. Yeah,
I know. Before I actually got one that stayed, but now it's just looking like it's dead. Like it's just a stick with a few leaves up top.
They're so needy. They're so needy.
I know. I think that's what it is. I don't know. I have a calendar where I'm this is the last time I watered them. So it usually takes me about half the day to water all of them. Of course, they're I have some cactus and succulent plants that I take a little bit longer. And now that we're getting into winter, so I have somewhat of a schedule for them. They are my children. This is how bad it is. And then I decided to start collecting orchids the year before. And so now that's the whole thing.
Those are beautiful. Are those hard? Are those hard to keep alive? They feel like they would be.
They're super easy.
They're not?
I feel like air plants are a lot harder. The ones that dangle them out. You know what I mean? The ones that, people dip them in the water, but mine always got soggy and just died because I overwatered them. Terrible.
Gave too much love.
I know. I don't know. I say being consistent with watering, and then I always put a little bit of fertilizer in there, just to keep them somewhat healthy. Because if you have them for a long time in the same soil, then it's the nutrients are going to be completely zapped. So, upkeeping.
Guess
the soil.
That's true. Yeah, that's why I see my wife all the time, just popping them out and repotting them and doing. I'm like, I don't know what she's. I mean, she keeps them alive, so she's doing something right.
I noticed. And I feel like this is just a graphic designer illustrator thing as well. Yeah. Don't you agree? Graphic designers and illustrators are kind of like mini hoarders.
Yes.
You buy a lot of things and collect them to look at and to admire and to place around you and to be able to pick up and touch. What is something that you have bought? Ooh, what is that?
This random
show me that again.
Little tapestry. What is this?
It's a little tiny black and white striped rug.
It's so tiny.
For a mouse or a little kitten.
I know.
Or something.
I think it's also our age. If we're 90s kids, small things, for some reason we like to collect small things. It's micro machines, Polly Pockets. Everything was tiny.
Look at this.
Oh, what are those?
The world's tiniest pottery little... Okay, look at this. Last time I was in Mexico, look how tiny this thing is. It's a little tortilla basket.
These are all mini.
They're so tiny.
Items.
Yeah, are they ceramic?
They are. They're made out of clay. They're like little clay pots.
Oh
And
my-
like somebody
little
actually
kind of
like,
Mexican style plate. Yeah.
Yeah, you put. Would
painted
you put those
them.
in like an easy bake oven? Is that how you cook them? Like,
Oh, this is like for like an ant. Like, look how tiny this is.
oh my goodness.
This one. Hold on. It's like the size of my nail bed.
And they're
It's so
painted on
tiny.
too. They're
I know. Oh my God. This is like the cutest one. It's like a little cow inspired ceramic cup. Anyway,
oh
yes.
my gosh. Okay, yeah. So
Lots of
we
trinkets.
get it.
So I was gonna ask related to that. So like, what is something you've purchased, or it can be more than one thing, that's under $100 that just has made a big difference in your life? Like whether it's an object you love or has a lot of utility. What are some of those things that you've purchased that you love in the past 6 months, year?
I bought, okay, you can't see it, but I like buy these like gems. Like they're just, whatever. Like sometimes they're really cheap and I forgot where I was. Maybe I was at Ross or something.
Like little decorative gems?
Like look at this thing. It's so fake and
Oh my
obviously stupid,
yeah,
but
it's huge.
it's close to the light. So like when I'm in here and the light hits it, like it feels like a disco party. Like it's amazing, right? And then you can have like different. This is like $5 probably or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
wife, we actually have some of those. They're like little prism type things, and they shoot rainbows all over our house, and the kids love them.
Yeah,
I
they look
love
like
them.
kind of big diamonds you hang in the window that make rainbows
Yeah.
or different colors throughout the day. Yeah.
I feel like a
can see that
cat.
being a good
Like I
purchase.
think that's what it is. I feel like a cat, and I'm like, this is like so stupid, but I love it. And I start like chasing the colors like a dumbass.
That's kind of interesting too,
things,
considering we were just
choice.
talking about like how good you are with colors.
Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's really
just
good.
saw at the store. I was seeing some like little boutique shop. They were selling. They had like like the little glass candy type dishes that your grandparents might have. Well, at least my grandparents would have. And they're like, yeah. So they have like all really ornate. I saw an artist had flipped them upside down, and then drilled holes all along the side and did like fishing wire. And then put all those, like what you have, those little those little like almost like prisms and things like that. And they hung it from them, and they looked like jellyfish. They were so cool. And then they hung them in windows, and I was like, I gotta make one of those. That'd be really fun.
Add it to the the list of things I'll get to eventually, but like buy all the materials for and then never do it, right?
I bought the bits for my drill, and I have them still wrapped. They are still wrapped, sitting on our kitchen table. Yeah, I haven't messed with it yet, but it was only months ago. But I've been binge watching this like interior designer influencer gal online, and she was like, because our house, Dustin can attest to this, like our house is pretty eclectic, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
We really like, we have a 1950s home. We like the older homes because they have a lot of character. Like this was like a big this part of the house was like 1960, but you could totally tell with the woods and everything. But throughout the house, it's like, we love like the idea of like lots of different textures and lots of different plants, like living things and lots of different colors. And it's been like a really big shift. I've been watching, like I said, this gal on Instagram, her whole thing is like embracing the weird and like filling your home with like textures and making it a home for you, not for the people you're selling it to, which is such a, like, I know how much you like care about like interior design and making your home and your space beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, something about that like kind of clicked when we moved here, where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make my house, because a lot of times you get scared, you're going to make a change, you're going to put a color on the wall,
and it's going to look
you're
ugly.
like, yeah, or nobody's going to want to buy it later. You're like, oh, I'm going to resale value later. And I'm like, that's such a terrible way to live, because it's your house. Like, how do you want to be inspired? Do you think that way too? Do you kind of embrace that and make it your own?
100%. Yeah, that happened. So the first house I bought was like just this old house. I don't even know, one of those just flat here by like Federal Way. Anyway, it was like in the forest deep, but we started remodeling all this stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna paint a huge fucking mural on this thing with yellow, like whatever. I'm gonna change the kitchen, the bathroom. I was like, instead of buying wallpaper, I started drawing like the tropical plants, like a green on green color. And
That's
I went
cool.
nuts. Like Pepto-pink, like pink in one. And then I like put a bunch of artwork. And I did think about it because I was like, no one's going to want to buy this house. But then it turned out to be like, well, it's just paint. People can just paint over if they don't like it. So whatever. So I think once I like kind of thought about it that way, and I was like, it doesn't matter. So now this house that I bought like 3 years ago is from 1910. It is insane.
Oh, wow.
Like what the details it has, and it, all of it, like the porch, um, it's an old craftsman house. So like, it's just beautiful. And so I
Oh, I
really
love
try to
that.
make like each space sort of have its own vibe. Like in the, like when you walk in, I have a hammock hanging from this, so people can, like, my kids love it. They like sit there and it's kind of like a
Yeah.
little nook, but you're surrounded by plants, and so I have
Oh,
like
I
a
love
bunch of
that.
stuff like that. So I try, like, obviously I haven't finished the entire house. So, but when I have in my free time, I'm just like kind of planning out like what I'm going to do if I'm feeling a certain way. I've already like changed the kitchen twice already. So I don't know. I try to think
Yeah.
about like, you know what I mean? Like blank canvas sometimes can be really scary. Where you're just like, I don't know what to do with this.
Totally.
And I start to overthink it. And it's not just your space. Like, obviously your family's going to be living
Yeah.
there or whatever. So I try to think about that as well. And so those types of projects take me a while, but I love the idea of
I
making it
do.
feel more cozy and like well lived in, and like weird.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
embracing just kinda
Yeah.
like what you would want in it, and if you're, like,
Yeah.
really into, like, ceramic cats, then why not have ceramic cats in your house or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we
Maybe I
we
should
have
do
some
something
ceramic
with these little
cats.
guys. I do
Yeah, I
too.
would say,
Oh, here's
you have to just,
one.
like what you need to
Look
put
at,
those in? Those type cases, those type drawers?
oh yeah, these little
Yeah, I got a
guys.
bunch of
Yeah.
those guys. Oh, what
Yeah,
were you
I
showing
know,
me
me
that you
too.
had the other.
Ceramic
Oh, see,
cat.
that's cool. Oh, you do have I
Ooh.
have one up here too.
I
Is it right? Oh,
got
it's over
ceramic
here, it's over
cat.
here.
All kinds of
God, that's
knickknacks.
funny.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like that's the whole point, right? Like being creative, you're
Yeah.
like in a space where you trying to come up with new ideas or at least be visual about it. And I don't know, being surrounded by stuff that brings you joy or like that inspires you, I think it's really cool. So I try to
Yeah.
do it. Hmm.
No, that's amazing. Earlier you'd mentioned something that like the way that you had said it, it's a very different experience from what I've had. But you were
Hmm.
saying it was nice to see other like Mexican artists when you were talking about the most recent thing that you were doing there. And
Yeah.
I was
With
like,
Victor.
yeah, with Victor
Yeah.
and I was like, so or for Hispanic Heritage Month, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is it like? Like I don't want to presume anything, but we all talk about like wanting to be like everybody wants to have like representation in like the creative industry, but being Mexican American, being a
Mm,
woman, what is your experience? What are some of those challenges that you're seeing that you're trying
mm.
to that you might be trying to overcome in the creative space that
Industry.
we live in?
Yeah.
Yeah, industry.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it. I feel like I've had sort of like I don't want to call it like a midlife crisis with it, but kind of like, I went to school. Nobody in my school, like even going to college for art, like my parents were like, what, why? Right. And so that was already like a thing. And then moving from Oregon to Seattle to go to art school and then not really seeing either people like me. And then so I wasn't speaking Spanish. I wasn't like, you know what I mean? There's lots of stuff where I feel like I
Yeah.
couldn't have been me. And then when I was like in the industry, it was just like, well, this is just you, right? And so when I saw Victor, I really noticed and that I allowed myself to like truly be me. And so some of those ideas that I had like regarding color or whatever, like things that I like got stuck in my head about like, oh, this might be like too Mexican for people, or this might be too me or
Oh,
very
interesting.
particular. Like that just kind of, went away. And so like I felt like I was starting to have more of like an artistic voice, a more personalized, voice. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped, right? Like that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
just being in community with someone that you feel like you can be yourself, and the representation part of it like really does matter. And I didn't think it did until it hit me when I'm like, oh my God, like yes, like this color and that color. And then come to find out, like, yeah, like obviously art is for everybody. Everybody loves color. If there's, joy in what we do. And so it's super important. So part of what I've been trying to do now is like obviously working in house and doing the freelance work that I've done. I try to like speak at colleges, and I get hit up a lot for like, can you come talk to our students and whatever? And I really emphasize that of like, there's no like recipe for making it in the industry, right? Like everybody has a different walk of life, a different path. And so I think what was really helpful for me is some of those like networking and like being a good collaborator, and you know what I mean? Like being open up to those things, like that is super important, right? And like that was something that I wish that somebody had told me, like, it's cool, like you're never, you know what I mean? Because you hear people coming in like, you know, I'm sorry, David Carson, like, you know what I mean? Like, or Jessica Heish, lovely person. But do you know what I mean? Like when you're a student, you don't really, I just didn't see myself there. It's like, I don't see somebody like me, like doing this type of work. And so I just really thought it was important to foster that from the beginning. So I really try to push for that now. Right. And so even now, like, you know, the project that I just did for Mexam, like working with other Mexican American artists and Chicanos, like I have never done that. So it was really cool to kind of, you know, hear how they felt about belonging, you know, because again, like we all come, it was very specific for me, right? Like I was born here, but I'm very Mexican. I got confused for not being Mexican. Like the whole cultural identity thing, like really fucked me up. So trying to like outgrow that and kind of like reverse it back. Like, what would I have liked, you know, if I was younger again, like somebody can see themselves in my work, or at least the colors, like, oh yeah, that looks like, I don't know, my grandma, like something that could be in my grandma's house, or, you know, that it feels very specific to somebody. So at least if somebody can feel seen or feel like they belong where they are. So yeah.
Did you feel like you had to like change your style or withhold part of you? That's what you're saying. Like there's like when you work for these bigger companies, like I'd imagine like they have specific things. It's like, oh, for, you know, Hispanic Heritage Month, obviously they're going to want that, or for like Cinco de Mayo and things like that. They're like, oh, you're that person, right? You're that person we're going to go to. But every other time, are they kind of, so that was something you experienced? Like you were trying to like, not be too Mexican in your artwork? Is that right? I mean,
it sounds stupid, but like that literally is it. It's like we needed to be more inclusive, or just like not too specific and, you know, more generic. And so I felt like there was so many times, even like with my use of colors, there's so many times where I had to like peel that shit back. Like working for Amazon, for example, like I couldn't really do all of that, right? Like had to really tame that. And so I had to create parameters around that, like how much of my own personal style I was willing to give to, you know, my full-time job, and then, you know, having the other stuff that really fulfilled me for my freelance stuff. But I definitely did feel that way, where I had to like pull back. Couldn't be me, or like it'd be really so much cooler if I had this like blue pink. I don't know. For a while there, I was like wanting to push everything, but people get scared, you know, and are like, oh, can't be. I got to tone it back, and then it changes it, and But also just like culturally, because like you can't. I don't know. I feel like my family tried to really do the whole assimilation. Like they didn't really like to speak in Spanish outside of our house, and so like you would never know it, but my first language is Spanish, and every time I speak Spanish, like, whoa, you don't have an accent. I'm like, well, yeah, because that's my first language. And then I get told, oh, but you don't have an accent in English, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I grew up here. Like, you know what
do you want from me?
I'm like, what do you
want?
Like,
which bucket do we put you in? We don't know.
That's it. Because I'm like, what bucket do I belong in? I just pick my own little colorful bucket over here. Yeah. But I mean, that's also why, like, there's just so much of it now, like, has changed, right? And so I want to be able to, you know, at least speak to students or people like who are coming into graphic design or illustration, and making sure that they get that message too, that it's okay. Like, you know, obviously that's like everyone has their own opinion about, and their own style, like as an artist too. So why not?
How did you learn to embrace it fully? I mean, I think it helps, obviously, seeing someone like Victor, someone else that, you know, when you feel underrepresented, it's nice to feel other people like you and to see that, oh, okay, we're okay, we can do this. Yeah. But is there advice for someone listening now that, you know, feels underrepresented and feels like they have to kind of withhold some of them? What was the thing? Was it just other people? Like, or was there anything else that you did to kind of sneak
like,
your culture in.
yeah. No, but I mean, like I kept sketchbooks like most people do, but I really just kind of allowed myself to explore the weird shit that I like really wanted to try out. And sometimes it was just like, oh, this is awful. Like, no. And so it really is just like getting to that point where you make a bunch of bad art until it starts, until you figure out like, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to focus on this and I want to be able to, do this, whatever. So like narrowing in on that. And then the more I did that in practice, like, oh, I want to play more with like colors and composition and bringing it in. And then I start like, I pulled out some of my photos from my plants and stuff, and I started dropping in different colors and things like that. So I think it's just like allowing yourself to experiment with like you're weird, right? Like in whatever form it is. And sometimes it's not that. Like sometimes it's just cooking, or sometimes it's buying a bunch of weird plants, like whatever it is that can like get you motivated and get you inspired to, I don't know, build more, like make more of something. So I love that. That's helpful.
No, that's really helpful. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, it doesn't sound too far removed from like in the sense of like you're gaining that style and feeling the confidence to kind of put stuff out there. I feel like that could be more of a universal feeling where, as a creative, where there's probably something that you're pulling from, in whether it's your culture, whether it's your past, or whatever that you want to inject into things. And I think that's the best. I think that's a really good way to put it, because you're saying like, I couldn't always do it at work. Like I'd always try to slip in pink. I don't know. Pink is just like, it's just a fun one. When you were talking about color earlier, I heard Ty Wilkins gave me the best advice. I don't know if you're familiar with Ty Wilkins, crazy talented designer, illustrator, out of Austin, Texas. And, he gave me the advice on color that I've really latched onto. And it was, he's like, get your palette the way you want it. Like figure out, once you get your palette, he's like, the way to kind of elevate any palette that he had, he's like, then you just pick some weird random color and you work it in. And he's like, it's not your main color, it's an accent color. He's like, this weird, ugly, unexpected. Yeah, it's like an ugly brownish green that you are like, never would I pick that color. He's like, but if you have a solid palette and you drop a little bit of that in there, he's like, it just makes it so you have this very unique feel. Yeah. And you kind of alluded to that earlier, and that's what made me think of it. And, trying to get weird with the colors. But I try to do that with clients all the time, is I'm like, oh, they're not going to like pink in here, but I'm going to throw pink in the sky. And then it gets shot down. But I try, I think that was the key, is like every once in a while I would stick, and I was so happy that I could get that color approved. Or they're like, it's always with people. Whenever you're drawing people, they're always like,
I know.
Don't draw them blue. Now they look like alien, or they look like they're suffocating. Now you draw them purple. Now they look like aliens. So I'm like, but you don't want me to draw their actual skin color, because I get in trouble for that.
I know. So pick
Can't win.
Green. I know.
Now they're sick. Yeah.
I know. Now they're sickly.
You
know what else I've done with like the color picking thing, which I found really interesting before I had kids, right? So like obviously was a designer before then. And then when I had kids, I was like, oh my God, they just like don't give a shit. And so, they're using the brown crayon with the whatever and mixing them. And I like have so many pictures of just documenting my kids making art, because I'm like, there's something so freeing about that. How they're just, why? And the littlest one, I'm like, oh, why did you choose that? And she's like, because I want to. And I'm like, hell yeah, because you want to.
Man,
so,
to be a kid.
I know. But, I think about like, even then, like there kind of is a method to it. Like you can kind of see, obviously she couldn't explain it, but it's like mixing this brown with a green, and then had a pink in here, and then had like warm tones. And I was like, I don't know. I took the pictures, and sometimes I rip their color palettes off. Like, sorry, kids.
You're paying the bills today.
I know. You want your toys? No, kidding. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, and so that's the same sort of approach, right? You're just like playing until you get to a point where like you like it yourself, not just for other people. But you're gonna get the haters, Yeah. Another cool thing that I've been doing too with I know. Another cool thing that I've been doing with like the collaborating part is just that like getting outside of like being a designer, being an illustrator, like, we talked about like the design, interior design and all of that. But like cooks, I have a friend who's a cook who I've just been like bugging about like recipes and stuff. But then I just started this new LLC with these two audio and lighting engineer people. And like, it just blew my mind, because obviously it's audio, it's like more ambient. So you're creating and designing this sort of environment that makes you, makes you feel a certain way. So I was really drawn to that. And I'm like, oh my God, this could be so cool if we make like this background like this and then make some of this stuff like pop out and then weird colors and when playing with lighting and ambience and I don't know. So that's been really fun to like explore.
What's the name
other
of it?
stuff. It's called Palma Entertainment. Yeah, I did the website and the logo. Sorry. Probably looks terrible.
Hey, I like it. No, I just want to make sure everybody heard.
Yeah. But it's really fun, and it gets me out of that funk where I'm just like not sitting here trying to make corporate-y stuff or even in my own stuff because I get bored with my own work, and so trying to find other ways to be creative, like work with my hands and think in a different mindset it's more inspiring. I feel like as I get older too, I'm like I want to tap in more into that, like what brings me joy and like working with other people and learning new things, obviously, like I'm learning a lot about different lights and even audio stuff. Oh, speaking of which, if you hear that, I'm sorry. It's my daughters.
I don't hear
decided to learn how to play the saxophone this year.
Nice.
Lord help me.
Oh, I'm about to say.
But it's great.
That's tough.
No, that's the other thing too, where I'm just like, that's so cool seeing her being like really musical in a different way that I'm not musically inclined, but it's cool to listen to her like be excited about that. And then now with the new side thing that I'm doing with Carlos and Fabio, like they're doing the same thing. Like it's so interesting to hear them geek out over everything, sound, lighting, and different events. And
I love hearing other people geek out about things that I'm not particularly knowledgeable in or interested in, because a lot of times it just makes me pick up another hobby or another interest. That's like it's always the case. It's like you guys are just like
Anthony Bourdain. I remember seeing Anthony Bourdain reading Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential. I love cooking. Cooking is cool. But when you hear someone that's lived in that forever and they start to get into the nuances of why they like it and how they were raised and they tasted this in this place and made them feel like a rebel. Anyways, it's so fascinating to me when you get to get those angles that pull you in and you realize you like it too, but you couldn't tell.
Yeah. And I'm like totally geeking out on it. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, and then I kind of start doing the thing where you're like, learning a different language and try to compare and what it means other thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of like this and that, and so then we come up with like set designs and things like that. I'm like, well, what if you did something like this? And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, well, I mean, what about if we like string some lights over here? Like, can we do that? Can we put like lighting behind this? It's like, yeah, you could totally do that. And like, I don't know. It's also the same way of like when you first learn how to do like print and you're working with vendors, where here's the die line. I just want to do this, this, and this, but then sometimes the print vendors are like, oh, well, we can do like this, this, and this. And there's different options. And now you're like, what? We can do these things?
Let me go back. I got some more designs.
I know. So it's like, I don't know, forever learner. That's always good.
I kind of got quiet because I was actually really fascinated just listening to you talk about this.
I know, you got quiet.
Yeah, Brad knows that I normally talk like quite a bit, but sometimes like I'll get kind of like into I don't know, like you're hearing someone talk about something, then all of a sudden I feel like I'm like a spectator, like observing, and like I become fascinated.
Oh, I forgot I'm part of this conversation.
It's very rare that I do that, but like my bad. But it was just very interesting. But okay, so such a cool question. If your life was a movie and people were watching the movie up on a screen right now, at this point in your life, what would everyone in the audience be screaming at the screen at you that you should be doing?
I like that question.
You know what's so funny is that I totally know what I would be. I'd be like, it's like those horror movies where it's like, don't open that door.
Right. Yeah.
Because I do, because I am so like just curiosity driven, like since I was little. And it's like, you could tell me a million times that this is a bad decision, that we're going to do this, or, you're going to get hurt. And I do it with my kids all the time. Right. But then I'm like, but then you don't let me experience it. Then I won't know how it actually makes me feel. Or like if something like it makes me think a certain way, or it changes my perspective in a different way. So I feel like I would definitely, that's what they would be screaming. And it's just because I'm a forever learner, forever like a curious person. And I don't know. It's got
Wait, they'd be
me into a
screaming
lot
what?
of
What would they be screaming?
Don't open
don't
that
open
door.
that door.
Oh,
Just
okay.
you're getting into lots of different things, and they're like, "Wow, you don't have to
Yeah.
go through that door. You don't have to open it."
Yeah, but I do it. I do it anyway. Like I went, like for
The
example,
rebel.
I know it is. It's like the
Mhm.
black sheep of the family too. Like I can't tell you how many times I have just sold my belongings and moved to a different country just to see like what it would feel like.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
I did that in Australia. When I was in high school, I actually did a study abroad to Italy, and I fundraised all the money myself because my parents didn't have money for it. So, and then I left when I was 16 for a whole year. I lived abroad, and obviously my parents didn't have money to come visit me, so I was like completely
Wow.
disconnected from my life here, and it was really bizarre but so cool, and I would do it again like a million times over. So I've done that a few times, and it's been really, really
Wow.
cool. Yeah, I know.
That's the best
My mom
example. That's the best example of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
my mom always is just like, she's like, I'm scared of you because I've always been scared of you because you come up with these ideas and it's like you say what you're gonna do, you mean what you're gonna say, and you just do it somehow. Like it just happens. And like, well, I'm pretty resourceful. Start like looking online, like how I can get visas and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. And like, no, but for real, like I was actually working at the Seattle Symphony Orchestra as a designer there. One of the only designers. I had an art director, and I just up and left. This is like 3 years after I had already graduated from school. So like, you work hard to kind of like get
Yeah.
up where you are. And then all of a sudden I just like dropped off. I'm like, nope, I want to do something completely different. I quit my job and I sold everything and I moved to Australia. I was a live-in nanny, like
I love
completely
that.
What?
different.
That's
Yeah, it's like
why do we talk about this
I wish
last,
I had done that.
Dustin?
I wish
You
I had
should
done that.
have you should have asked this question at the beginning.
you should have.
Oh, we need to get you on here again.
Yeah,
That's
as a crazy
fascinating.
story. I feel like that's part of like exploring and experimenting, and I don't know, a lot of why it's helped me. Yeah, it's helped me a lot in my design, and a lot of inspiration and like doing stuff. And I think about it too. Like when I do work for other people, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. Like I'm not here, curing
Yeah.
cancer. So I
I
think
think
that's helped to
environments
get
play a
out
really
of my
big
head.
role in like the flexibility of our thinking as well. Like, have you
Yeah.
you ever noticed like you go on a trip somewhere and a solution comes to something you've been struggling with for a really long time, and it comes kind of effortlessly, but just because you're out of the circuit of what you typically do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It helps to actually do something, and then once you've done it, and then you try it again, like, because it's something that, especially like when people are telling you, like, no, that's not a great idea, that's not a safe idea, that's not a whatever, I can hear my parents yelling all the things that your parents are yelling at you. Like, I lived in the Philippines for a couple of years, and then we moved every year, and I quit my job every single year and moved to a different state because it was fun. We took our whole family abroad. There's lots
That's
of like those
amazing.
instances, but it gets easier to make those decisions. And then you find out it's like, oh, it's just because it's not the prescribed whatever. And you might
Yeah.
have all these biases about it, or just, you just don't understand it. And then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
do it and you're like, oh my gosh, we're still here.
Yeah.
This was actually a really cool
Yeah.
experience. I want to try that again.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And isn't that
I can
crazy though?
relate to
Because
that. I
like I
like
feel
that.
like we all like kind of like get in our own heads, and like when making decisions about like design or illustration, I'm just like, it's yeah, I could walk away from it and go outside and like clear my head. But I think like it puts things into perspective and a bigger scale of things, right? Where I'm like, yeah, why not? Like what literally could be the worst thing that could happen? Like they don't like it and I come up with something else. And so giving yourself
Yeah.
permission to kind of mind over matter, you know what I mean? Like, no, like we keep finding solutions and things that way. So I really try to lean into that, obviously, because I feel like going to extremes. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're so
So much
cool.
fun.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
This was awesome.
Thank you for inviting me to talk. This is so cool.
Yeah, thank
of
you so
course.
much. Okay, so where is the best place for people to find your work, to hear the most up-to-date things about you? And are there any particular projects as well that you'd really love people to check
Yeah.
out?
Sure. So you can find my work on Instagram at marisol.ortega, and then my website too, marisolortega.com. Those are usually the only two places I like post things. Something cool that I'm doing next week. Actually, I'm going to be at Adobe Max. I'm going to be a vendor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've got puzzles, socks, pins, stickers, earrings, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's just, they're like little side projects, obviously, that I want to make for myself that I make for other people. So it's fun. And then my collaboration project that I started, bottomentertainment.com. You can check us out there. It's been pretty fun. And yeah.
Amazing.